published by Africa World Press, based in New Jersey. I've been involved in trying to develop Africana Studies since the mid-1970s. And Africana Studies has emerged as a separate entity that tries to look at the world through the lenses of people of African descent. And the chapters cover a lot of different topics like music and the philosophy of black studies. The basis of the flight metaphor is the myth of the flying Africans. The idea that there was a group of enslaved Africans that came to the seacoast area and that their will to survive and their connection to Africa was so strong that they simply took flight and flew back to Africa. Whereas in the pieces above it, there are representations of sort of how black artists have adapted the Madonna image, so the mother and child. Well, I think the kingdom of culture captures the notion that any group of people who don't have a culture that is preserved, nourished, and continually refined is going to be subject to exploitation. A lot of Western disciplines, when they look at the Black American experience, use what we call a deficit model, that the black experience is not as good as the white experience, and that frames the way they look at it. Whereas from an Africana Studies model, what we look at, what are some of the strengths and ways in which African people have traditionally approached problems, and can we update and transform those ways to meet current challenges?
It's part of what's called the Lower Hill. It used to be a predominantly black neighborhood. This used to be just such a vibrant community, rich cultural legacy. There's a former nightclub called the Crawford Grill where many famous artists, both nationally and internationally, jazz artists perform, like Billy Eckstine and people like that. That's now gone.
African Americans, as they have traditionally been, have been disproportionately hurt by the lack of the decline in jobs. Black Americans were also disproportionately hurt by the housing crisis, the subprime lending issue, because it was during just immediately prior to that black home ownership rates had jumped significantly, but now they're disproportionately hit by foreclosures.
They maintain about 300 gallons of biodiesel fuel.
Yeah, what you're describing is what I would call a 21st century approach to community empowerment.
Right. That's like we formed. People have all these conversations about alternative energy sources and alternative energy production. Well, we had a conversation. That was like 2 years ago, as part of the national mobilization for
But I'm actually planning to do a sequel to Flight in Search of Vision, where I have another set of essays, and hopefully that'll get more attention. The tentative title of that book will be Higher Flight.